Robinson Show. We are back with Nicki from Nicki Needs an Adult.
Hi.
Hey, Nicki.
Hi, Nicki.
How are you? How have you been?
I've been good. How have you guys been? You've been gone all summer. Welcome back to Podcast Land.
We always take the summer off. When my sons come up, I take the summer off. I chill with them. Slim cries, and he's
Shrink a lot.
Yeah.
Way too much.
What did you do over the summer?
What?
What did you do over the summer, Nicki?
Oh, I worked and I was a mom, and we just didn't do anything this year. Like we alternate years of excitement. It's just too much for our little Midwest family. Like 1 year is exciting, and the next year we're just like, well, we survived that one.
We're gonna take it easy this year.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you take a break from your show? Mentioning the breaks.
I do. I take the whole month of January off because by December, I hate doing it. Like I'm just like, I don't want to think of anything. I don't want to try to create new stuff. I don't want to do this. I just want to be a regular lady.
I think it's by the spring every year. I'm like, I can't wait till our fucking break. Like we still do as much as we can, great content, but it's like I'm burnt out. It's a lot. It's a lot every week.
It is a lot. Yep.
I remember also recently you had that it was a religion poll. I don't remember what the questions were. Was it a poll or was it just a question? Like, what do you feel about religion? And I was like, I feel religion is just like an excuse for being a shitty person. It's like I'll be a piece of shit all week, but
best answer.
I ask God to forgive me, and I'm good, and I'm gonna gossip about every other piece of garbage in this church or whatever this building. Like, what is that? Is that your take on like? Yeah, no, I don't necessarily not believe in God, but I think religion is just a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, that's how that's exactly how I feel. Like I basically feel like there's something to say. There's not something greater than humans.
Yes.
In one excuse or another, like whatever you want to call them, is kind of obscure. Like not obscure, but absurd to me. But then like to base everything based on what one dude had to say, and when you like really look into what religion is and the people who made the decisions of what rules you do and don't have to follow, you're just like, is the problem God and the devil, or is the problem that asshole who tells me what I can and cannot do?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
I listened to your tarot card episode, and you were getting into a little bit about like religions, and I loved how you were saying like Wiccans look down on tarot card readers because they're like, it's giving witchcraft a bad name.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the Disney version of what we do.
Yeah.
What is the tarot cards? What's the tarot card reading like? The tarot card reading, like, is that like a death crystal? Like, do you know when somebody's gonna get shot?
No, it's nothing like that. I'm never like, I don't have that ability, because if I did, I wouldn't like want to. Like, I don't want to know that.
I don't want to know. That's a lot. My buddy Derek, he actually, I forget how many summers ago, he said he was doing readings. I don't know how you get able to do the reading.
I liked Nicki's description of it. It was very interesting because you're like, I'm not a psychic. I can't like predict the future or anything.
Okay.
She was just saying like, hey, I have these cards and I can tell you what these cards are saying, what the interpretation of the cards is.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. Like, I don't sit in a room and dead people don't talk to me. If I hear voices, then I probably need medicated. Like, that's not happening for me.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, like I had like kind of talked about my parents the last time I was on, but I had like that mom who would let anybody live with us, and this woman lived with us, and she read playing cards, and she's the one who kind of taught me how to read tarot cards. And her aunt was a gypsy, and like she had all of these things that they did that were very like cool to an impressionable teenage girl. So I just started there, and it's just something I've kept up with for a really, really long time. And I wanted to go to a medium for an episode. I thought that would be really cool. Like,
that
what
would be cool.
Halloween content is that? every time I get online and be like, hey, can someone help me find a medium? Some smartass would be like, well, they should already be able to find you. And I'm like, look,
Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
See, I was
just help.
I was surprised. I did listen to the episode as well, and you said you don't read anyone who has had a few drinks or something. I feel like I would need a few drinks to get my. I'd have to relax. I would need like 3 bottles of absinthe to just get to that point. Like, yeah, read my cards, lady.
It's like, the way I look at it is like, it's like all about energy and like feeling and all that hippy dippy shit. Like, if you're drunk, then I can't guarantee that what energy is flowing between us is like real.
Okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, gotcha. I feel like some people would be more like themselves, and like you said, though, some people might just go a different way with that, like angry or whatever.
Right, exactly. People's emotions are just always right on the verge, and I just don't want to deal with like some woman crying to me because like I didn't tell her she was going to marry the man of her dreams, and I'm just like, it's probably not going to happen.
Or
just marry a truck driver.
There's
or
no
God forbid some drunk guy just spills his beer on your cart.
Yeah, what would that be?
My shit.
Would that be nuts?
My shit.
What would that would do? Like, are the cards coated? Like, what? You got to get them like laminated.
Like,
get those cards laminated.
Yeah.
And then you can do drunks.
Yeah, like sofa covers all over.
What's that card saying? He just spills his beer all over.
That would be me.
Why you hiding
Fuck
those
you,
cards?
I love that you were talking about too. How like you get people that are like, oh, I want you to give me a reading, and then they're just debunking.
That's what I was
the
going to
thing
say.
the
Like,
whole
is anybody
time.
else like just talking shit the whole time?
And you called them assholes, which I thought was great.
It's the worst. Like, why are you wasting my time? I don't charge you for this shit. I'm not making you do it. I'm doing it of my own free will. Get out of my face. Like, I hate that about anything about somebody. If you are, like, intentionally antagonizing somebody who's just trying to do something fun or out of goodwill, you're just an asshole.
See, I thought you charged. I didn't even know.
Yeah. No.
What going back though to talk about religion, I wanted to ask: did you grow up in church? Because I grew up in the churches, and I just saw a lot of hypocrisy.
Like, in my show, I try not to say like what I grew up with because I don't want people to think it influenced me. But yeah, I grew up. Okay, so I had one parent who was more like religious experimental, and I had another parent who was Catholic.
Oh.
And so I got raised by the Catholic parent, and I liked it when I was little. Like, when you're a kid, it's all about, like, community. And I talked about that in that episode. Like, it's fun when you're younger because you're with a group.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get older and, like, you learn about what's up, you're just like, I'm out. And it's just, so, like, my kids were not raised with religion. Like, neither of them have ever had religion in our home.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
I
was thinking, like, religion.
Hardcore atheist, so.
Okay, I was just thinking, like, in general, though, like, religion would have phased out. Even at this point in our 2019, I figured, like, religion would almost be gone. Like, because I feel like every generation was less into it.
Yeah. I think the thing is, though, people who are desperate for answers grasp at straws.
That's it, though. So, like, being out of it, the kids of those people would probably seek that again. I don't know. I don't know how it would work.
You said an interesting thing that I can relate to, where you talked about like being with a group and stuff. So like, I am kind of an atheist. Like, I don't even care about religion. But growing up, like, I had, my mother who was not religious at all, and then my father, and they had separated, and my father had married a woman who was very religious, and so when I would visit my father on the weekend, it would constantly be like church, and we would attend like CD, whatever that fucking thing was.
CDD,
MSG,
and then the thing that I remember the most is during the summer, we were part of this group that they would meet together on the beach, and it would be like a seminar, like a religious seminar on the beach, and it was a lot of
Beach
fucking
revival.
fun. It was a
Beach
lot of
baptism.
Beach baptism
Yeah.
was a lot of fun, and it was really cool to me.
Sounds
Like,
fun.
yeah, it was really, and we would do like Olympic games and stuff. Just all kind. I remember having a medal I won
was gonna say,
for
where's
one
your
of the.
medals?
I have a medal. I don't know where it
your
is, but I
medals.
had a medal, and I'm like. It kind of like as being an adult, I don't fucking believe any of that shit. But I was really into it as a kid, and I think I was into it because of the togetherness and the being able to meet
Right.
different people, and that just being in that area with other people. You know,
It's almost like a movie. Like they plan your emotions. You got a soundtrack. You got stories that make you cry, stories that make you laugh.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's that thing to it.
it's entertaining, I guess.
Yes.
Well, that's what they call indoctrination. Like, they get you.
Yeah.
They make you think it's fun and all this stuff, and there's rules because kids dig rules, whether they like it or not. And then you're, like, all wrapped up in it because that's how cults work. So, like,
Yeah.
that's how it is. Like,
So
they
the-
just wrap you up in it.
Yeah.
They sucked me into the cult, but at the same time, like my sister and my younger cousin, one of my younger cousins, same age as my sister, Jessica, they were really into witchcraft. So I would go and learn about like Jesus, and then I'd go and I'd practice witchcraft with my sister and my cousin
You were
Jessica.
lighting incense.
Yeah, and we were light as a feather, and 90s.
Were you a healer? Were you a healer or a black
Definitely a
mage?
90s kid.
I was a healer. I was like,
Okay.
yeah. I was a white mage, a white magician.
Wow, I never went into mage territory as a kid.
White magician all the way.
Wow, you do some
We're learning
spells.
so much today.
Do some spells, Slim. This is therapeutic.
Do some spells.
Kamehameha, is that how it
Something
goes?
like that, yeah.
I don't know how those magic things work.
All I know is light as a feather, stiff as a board. Let's do it. Lay down. Let me see if I can float you.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary,
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary,
Beetlejuice,
Bloody Mary. Yeah, something like that.
Wishmaker, Wishmaster. I don't know.
So did you just play Dungeons and Dragons and you're trying to make yourself sound cooler?
Slim?
Is that
No.
what this is?
Actually,
No,
I
did.
never did. No. All this is fucking true.
It's all true.
Like my sister Diana and our cousin Jessica were really into like witchcraft. Like
Still?
I think not anymore. I don't think. But when they were kids, like Jessica, my cousin Jessica would go to like these like little like witchcraft stores, I guess, and she'd buy like spell
Charmed
books.
Yeah.
Company.
And
Charmed
charms,
Company.
yeah, Charmed and Company. She'd buy charms and like spell books, and she'd tell me and my
Crystals.
sister about them, and we'd do spell like I don't know, the goofy shit. Never
Did
played
you
Dungeons
ever-
and Dragons,
Did you ever kill anybody?
I know
No.
exactly what you're talking about.
Right?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because
don't.
I did that shit too. Like,
How old are you?
like, candle
I
magic
know
books
I shouldn't ask.
and
I'm
shit. Yeah.
Nikki. I'm 31. How old are you?
I'm 37, so it's
Okay.
definitely of our age range.
You guys.
Right, yeah, it's like in that group where like Rob's like 60, and
Yeah, we did cool shit like.
Well, in his
Like
day, when
punch
Eisenhower was
toddlers.
president, they
That's
were
what we
allowed
did.
to do those.
Yeah, we were allowed to just punch toddlers. That's how we got our magic out. Just give me that toddler. I'm gonna knee him right in the couple teeth he's got.
I think it was just like if you look back at like my era, and I think and when you were growing up too, it was a lot of like witchcraft like movies. Like what was that one with
Oh,
Jack
The
Nicholson,
Craft.
the craft,
Sabrina the
Sabrina the
Teenage
Teenage Witch. Like so, we were all influenced by that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh.
And, like, what else is there to do? Like, there was no internet. We had witchcraft. So what did
That's
you want,
it.
you know?
Yeah.
We had toddler punching.
Rob's generation just punched toddlers. It was witchcraft and then the occasional like Mario, Super Mario. Like that was,
Yeah, that was true. Because, like, Nintendo 64 was a big deal when I was in high school. Like, my
Yeah.
freshman, sophomore year. So, yeah. Yeah.
witchcraft and
much it.
Mario. Witchcraft the 90s.
Good old days. Good old days. Nikki, I wanted to ask you too. What is neurodiversity? I saw you had a show on that.
Yeah. So neurodiversity is basically like a term used so to describe people who have anywhere from like autism to bipolar disorder.
I was thinking like
So
split
instead of-
personality, just by the sound of it.
That's true. Like
PID.
it's called dissociative disorder, split personality. So like anything like that, anything that would be called mental illness or developmental disability is called neurodiverse.
Oh, okay.
Like in my home, we have neurodiversity. I have a daughter with special needs, and I have a mother who has problems with mental illness. And instead of having to sit there and explain what these things are to people, it can be called neurodiversity. It's a really nice blanket term.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to pick apart things. Because the problem with especially mental illness is the illness part. It's not an illness. There's no cure for it, nor is it something that makes you actually sick in a way. Any way that you would be like, oh, so you have a leaky valve in your heart. Fuck you, weirdo. Like, you don't treat people like that. So to say neurodiversity kind of gives them safety. And I thought that was a really cool thing to, like, have that term there for people who have these issues. Because sometimes when you have autism, and it's not, because there's no such thing as Asperger's anymore. That's not a thing
no?
anymore. They don't call it that.
I
It's
didn't-
just autism.
I didn't know. I know they constantly
Yeah,
do
they
change
changed
terms.
it.
They don't call it Asperger's. I'm sorry. Without revealing too much, I just had a kid tell me that he was having trouble with his job because he has Asperger's. Was his
Yeah,
reason.
well,
You could fire him.
10
I did fire him. I may be a boss
There's no
in
Asperger's
some
anymore.
world. And I had a kid who was like, well, maybe I'm not good at my job because I have Asperger's. And I was like, yeah, no.
I feel a lot of times like too much is blamed on the Asperger's. Like,
Right.
you know, I know my buddy Jeremy, he always told me when he was in college, there were kids that could say they had anxiety and be allowed to like take the exam in the hallway. Like, who knows? They're on their phone, they're Googling all the answers. Like, it's like you could claim anything nowadays and do that.
Well, I guess I have a different perspective because, like, I have a kid that actually has to live with these things. So, like, it's different. But the thing that's important, the thing that's,
Yeah.
like, is that when you have, like, a term, then you don't have to worry about being speculated. But I do think that for someone to walk up and be like, oh, I suck at my job because I have Asperger's.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
technically, when you have something like, because like now it's called an autism spectrum disorder because everything's going to have an 8-mile long name. And that's
Right,
another reason
yeah.
I like the term neurodiversity.
That was like just going back to like that kind of a thing, like soldiers. It was shell shock. Then it was I forget what after that. Now it's like
PTSD,
and yeah, names get longer. Names get longer as
Right.
the years go on.
But like, there's tons of time for you to disclose that. Like, you're protected by the government because they can't fire you because of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Like, since the 70s, Richard Nixon signed it in. You can, or was it Johnson? Who the fuck cares? Anyway, so like it's been covered. Like, just
Yes.
tell people.
You're okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
You don't have to say. But just going back to you saying you have a child. Yeah, my youngest son too. He has I think it's ADHD, and just this past year they finally, I guess, had enough where they could put him in a special school for it. This year he's doing amazing. He's getting like awards and all
that's
that.
cool.
But in the other years,
Right.
he was getting nothing but like in trouble all the time and getting called to the principal's office and getting like they basically wasted like 2 to 3 years of his life.
Oh, wow.
Putting him in a public school when he
Right.
now he's doing amazing. Like,
So, like, okay, so here's your son who, like, struggled or whatever because he didn't fit the correct form. And so they kept shoving him into this certain spot. Why? Why put him through all
Yeah.
that? Like, he's neurodiverse. He's not going to fit in with other neurological regular kids.
yes,
Put him in a school where he functions. It's the same thing with us. Like,
yes.
I walk in and I'm like, she doesn't really talk very well. She tries her best. She has no concept of math. She has other things that she does. What can we do to work on this? Because there's no name technically for what she has. So why do I have to name it? She's neurodiverse.
Yeah.
Put her in the room with the kids who learn slower than other people, and then we can just get through school. Because one day she'll turn 15, and I won't like her very much anyway.
They're all gonna hate us, and we're gonna disagree. We're gonna argue.
My other kid is 15, and I'm lucky that she talks to me most of the time. So.
Oh, you have an older daughter? I always heard like daughters once they get to I don't know. I forget coworkers of mine in the past said what year their daughters got to where they didn't talk to them for like 2 years, and I think it was about 14 or 15. Like they're like, yeah, no, we didn't talk for those years.
I work with a woman who has a set of twins, a boy and a girl, and they're only a month younger than my oldest daughter. And so she's like, they're always in the room, they never talk to me, and blah, blah. And I'm like, do you think that my daughter's having conversations with me? Like, no, she's locked up in her room. She turned 15 this year, and she doesn't want anything to do with me. So
I'm 80. I'm 80 years old, and I just lock myself in my room. Like, I ain't talking to parents. I'm gonna burn my incense and do my white mage spells. And you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, old parents.
That's hilarious.
I'm healing.
Healing people.
Yeah. That's what you call jerking off, right? White mage spells?
Usually,
Okay.
yeah. That's why white.
That's why-
It produces white magic.
I'm doing white mage spells. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to produce white magic.
Boys are disgusting. I'm so glad I didn't have to deal with any of that.
How many kids do you have? And they're all girls?
Two.
Two
Okay.
girls.
Girls.
I got all
15
boys.
and almost 7.
Oh, okay.
What? I didn't hear what you
15
said.
and 7. she
Okay.
said.
Yeah.
It's a big age gap. Do they get along? Like 15 and 7?
Yeah,
Does the
they get along,
15-year-old
they
is?
get along really well.
I'm curious. Is the 15-year-old, is she like a mentor to the 7-year-old?
Well, like, I would say that the 7-year-old wants to do a lot of things that the 15-year-old does, but at the same time, the 15-year-old kind of like has her own space.
Right.
See, like my husband's the oldest of 3, and I'm the youngest of 2.
Okay.
But my sister and I are 12 years apart. So like, we both kind of have perspectives from the other one. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
when my oldest daughter's like overwhelmed and she's like, everybody drives me crazy, my husband's like, leave her alone. You know, I totally
Yes,
understand.
he
'cause I
gets
was the
that.
oldest. And when my
Right.
youngest daughter is like, pay attention to me, I'm like, she's all alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get me pizza rolls. I'm young. I need pizza rolls.
I don't care that she's upset. Give me pizza rolls.
Dude, my oldest is a vegetarian, so the only pizza rolls in my house are cheese pizza rolls. They have no joy.
They have no
I don't know. They're kind of joyful.
Yeah.
After a 6
No,
pack.
cheese pizza rolls have no joy.
Those are good pizza
Only
rolls.
combos. Combination pizza rolls.
What's that combination pizza roll? I've never even
The
heard of that.
sausage, they have pepperoni
What?
pizza rolls.
Yeah.
Slim. You've never
I've
mentioned.
always just eaten like regular, just like cheese
You're
pizza
a
rolls.
vegetarian, you jerk.
You have no joy either. Get out of
Oh
here.
yeah,
He doesn't.
This
He's
is
a
confirmed.
joyless prick.
He's a
Joyless.
white sage or mage or whatever.
Yeah, I'm a boring white mage. All I do is heal.
2 damage. 2 damage. No, that's like reverse. Negative 2 damage.
Yeah.
Negative 2 damage.
I'll shoot fireballs.
He puts the fireballs out. He puts them out. He's got white mist everywhere.
Yeah.
Nikki, what do you have planned for the next show?
Oh, okay. So actually, I have one coming out tomorrow, and it's about self-promotion. I don't know about you guys, but that is the hardest part about having a podcast.
I
is
tell everybody.
promoting myself.
I tell everyone.
I don't know. Rob does it all. I don't even
You
dabble.
just started listening to my podcast. I won't talk to you ever until I don't see you again, but listen to my podcast. Here's a card. Fucking
Right.
Celebrity.
It's so hard. It's hard to like convince. Not only that, but the people who I talk to are my age. You know, and some of them are like, "Well, how do you listen to a podcast?" I'm like, "You fucking
my God.
serious? Like, you have a phone.
Yeah.
Like, why is this an issue?" But
I always start with,
just
I always ask
promoting
people, do you listen to podcasts? That's usually what I do. If they say no, I'm like, oh, well, I have one. And if you had been into them, I've had people say that they even haven't, like they would check me out.
Right.
But if they say yes, I'm like, oh, yeah, just search us on whatever you listen to, you check us out, that kind of thing.
So I use a podcast for like they're like my meditative, like while I'm cleaning and stuff like that. I just listen to podcasts. Like I know a lot of people listen to music. I just do podcasts. Like last night I cleaned my whole house. I listened to like an episode of yours and like 3 other people that we interviewed tonight. Like that's like what I do on a normal day is I just listen to podcasts while I'm cleaning. And it helps. So
Well, and I'm always like, well, what do you listen to in the car while you're driving? You know, like
Yeah.
your car has a Bluetooth, Granddad. Let's get it all together. But there's too, like, the concept behind my show, and I kind of talk about that in the episode, is that if my podcast was about murder and I was drunk while I did it, had a co-host, and it was funny, I wouldn't have to do any of that. Because that's all anybody wants to listen to is drunk people talk about dead, murdered people while
You'd
they're
be
wasted.
Robin
I don't
Slim.
know why that's so popular.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the death thing, the death podcasts are so popular.
And I listen to them, and I have nightmares. Like, I'll just, like, I can't get out of my car at night.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
Please come out.
Nikki,
I call my husband. I'm like, please come out here. Yes.
I watched a show the other day. It was and I usually stay away from true crime, but I was just like looking for something, like eating. Let me watch something on TV. I pulled up like the live Hulu, and I found this scariest people in the world or something. It was something like that. I don't know. It's scary people.
Mm-hmm.
And the first episode was about John Wayne Gacy, and I got like 15 minutes in, and I had to shut it off. I was like, I cannot listen to this. Like, this fucking thing was going into detail about how he like tortured these kids, and I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't even know why I turned this on.
No, I don't know why, but it's so hard to promote. And then people are like, what is your show about? And I'm like, it's about being an adult and how that's hard and like how fucked up it is that you don't know how to do that. And
That's
they're like,
relatable.
oh, that sounds interesting. I'm like, okay, listen to it then.
Yeah.
There you go. But it's hard. So that's basically in the next episode is about how I kind of did some experiments through social media to self-promote more. And then the next one, my husband wrote music and performed music for a really long time. And we kind of talk about promotion and how, like, throughout time that's changed for him, and really how money is a big factor in that. And how do you become, like, a self-promoted person without being rich? And it's, you know, so he's my second interview. I mean, he's never been on my show.
Cool.
Like, for a long time, I wouldn't say his name. He doesn't listen to my show. Supportive dude. So, yeah. So because I did my first interview in my last episode, I interviewed a paranormal investigator. So, yeah.
Cool. Nikki, we have to wrap this up, but it's been great talking to you.
Okay.
Again, where can everybody find
Yay.
you?
I'm on Spotify. I'm on Podchaser. I'm on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google. If you can get to a podcast, you'll find me. I promise. Nicki Needs an Adult.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki.
No, thank you. I always love coming on your guys' show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a blast. We will talk soon.
Yes.
And Slim's going to heal on break.
Yeah, if you need any healing, just call me, Nikki.
Yeah.
I got you.
I'm on it.
I can do healing over the phone. It's years of practice.
Phone healings.
Phone healing. You're gonna hear a lot of this.
I'm going.
That's the healing. All right.
Goodbye.
See ya.
See you, Nikki.